Hi, welcome back to another session. Today we're going to be looking at humour. Humour. Somebody once said to me, you can't force funny. And, it's absolutely true. You can't force funny. In preparing this lesson, I almost felt like I have to be funny. The subject is humour. But I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a funny session or not. But certainly I want to talk about humour. In fact, what I really want to talk about is not so much making people laugh, but rather I want to talk about having a sense of humour. Having a sense of humour. What do we mean by that? Having a sense of humour. That ability to create humour. That ability to provoke laughter or even a smile on people's face. When we talk about having a sense of humour, it's that ability to identify a sense of humour or identify humour in any given situation. We have to release the pressure off of ourselves in thinking that when we talk about humour, we have to have people rolling in the aisles laughing. People have to be in fits of laughter, and it's just like a comedy session. The reality is, if your platform is a comedian, then you're wanting people to laugh from start to finish. But most of us, I'm sure, don't see ourselves or gifted, we don't see our gift as a comedian. We're public speakers. And so the goal is not to have people laughing, rolling around on the floor laughing. But I do believe that humour is important in a speech. In fact, I do think that humour can either make or break a speech. It can make or break a session. I'll tell you a story that you might laugh, you might not. It certainly wasn't funny at the time, but it's certainly, it's in the history books now. I remember a few years ago I was preaching at a church in Sutherland. Quite a few years ago now. It was called the Christian Growth Centre. It was pastored by Steve Penny at the time. And thank God he wasn't there that Sunday night when I preached. And I preached this message, and then I gave an altar call. And the first part of the altar call was I called people for salvation. If you'd like to receive Christ into your life, if you don't know him personally, etc., etc. And I said, would you come? We're going to sing a song, and as we sing, you come, and I'm going to be here. We're going to meet. We've got a Bible to give you, and that whole deal. And so we started to sing, and people started to come. Now I knew that some of the people were coming with the New Christians leaders and other pastors and leaders, and so they were coming. But I could identify that there were other people coming. It was probably 400 or 500 people in that meeting, and they were coming. Well, then I opened my mouth again. I just sort of gave the signal to the pianist just to lower it down. And then out of my mouth, now I don't know why I said it. And this is the thing about humour. In fact, I find some of the best humour is spontaneous. It just comes out. Other times it's intentional, and you deliberately insert that funny quote or that funny story or, just that, whatever it might be. And and you're looking for that response. You're looking for a laugh or a smile or a giggle, a chuckle, whatever it might be. But sometimes it just comes out, and often I'll be speaking, people start to laugh, and I think, oh, what's happening? Or people have got a smile on their face. So I open my mouth, and I gave part B of the altar call while people are still coming, and I said this. I said, and also I'd like you to come tonight if you're struggling with masturbation. Well, when my ears heard me say that, I thought, Jeremy, what are you saying? And all of a sudden, I saw all those people that were coming to the front turn round, went back to their seat. I'm thinking, oh no, what have I said? And literally, the altar was bare. And I'm standing there, and I was at the altar, and I looked around, and I thought, okay, we'll just finish the song. We finished the song, and it was just one of those moments that you could tell everybody was thinking, what did he just say? You could tell everybody wanted to burst out laughing. I mean, I see the funny side to it. I see the humorous side to it. And I'm standing there, the song finished, and I looked around and I said, well, church, it looks like I'm the only one at the altar call tonight, and I'm already a Christian. So I guess maybe I'm here for prayer for something, I don't know. Look, I don't know why I said it, church. I think the meeting's over, and we'll finish up. God bless you, and we'll see you next week. And as I said that, people just started to laugh and laugh and laugh. And it was sort of like, okay, laugh now. I guess it kind of killed that altar call. And as I said, humour, it can make or break. And I guess, that's just the nature of humour. I mean, even a comedian will tell you, sometimes they think this gag's going to be funny, and it just falls flat. But nevertheless, I think we need to value add humour to our speeches, to our presentations. They tell me that the brain loves humour. Yeah, the brain loves humour. In fact, research will tell us that it can lower your blood pressure, it can strengthen your immune system, it can increase your energy levels, and apart from that, it can just simply make you feel better. Humour has power. It has amazing effect when it's used correctly and wisely in our speeches. The Bible, interestingly, doesn't have much to say about humour per se. It does have a lot to say about laughter. You'll know some of the classic verses in the scriptures. God laughing at the wicked. A glad heart makes a cheerful face. There's a time to laugh, a time to cry. We know the story of Sarai, was it? Sarai or Sarah? I think it was Sarai before, wasn't it? It was Sarai when she laughed at God, when God said, you're going to conceive a son. And God, I didn't laugh. You know that story. And of course, Proverbs 17:22, that's the classic one. Laughter is like medicine to our soul. So the Bible does have a lot to say about laughter. But what about humour? What is it about humour? I hope you've got over my story, my altar call. I'm over it. A sense of humour. I think just a few thoughts here, and these might appear a little bit random, but just a few thoughts about a sense of humour. I think a sense of humour is a skill that you can develop. You can develop that ability to create it, to identify it, and to add it to your message. It's a skill. In fact, humour is a form of communication, interpersonal communication. Have you ever noticed people warm to humour? In fact, it connects. In fact, they say that of humorous people, there's a belief, an unspoken belief or an unspoken expectation that people who are humorous, have a good sense of humour, or people that are funny, probably have other positive personality traits as well. And there's this thought, this underlying thought, that if you're a humorous person, if you know how to, engage people in humour, that you're probably an honest person. You're probably a generous person. You're probably a wealthy person, interestingly enough. And so we associate all these different other personality traits with people who have a good sense of humour. Humour, it lowers people's defences. Have you ever got up and stood up in front of people, and you'll see people there, their disposition, they've got their arms folded, come on, speak to me, engage me. It's almost as if they're saying that. But it has this ability to be able to break through some of the barriers and the coldness that sometimes you feel, that you know's there, sometimes the thickness in the air. You can feel it. And sometimes humour, it can break through in those situations. I think humour makes you more likeable. Have you ever noticed when we talk about relationships, in fact, I'm sure you've heard it said, in fact, it's in the top 3 qualities that people look for in a partner. People will say, I want that person, I want a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband or wife that has a good sense of humour. There's something about humour that makes you likeable. They also say humour enhances your reputation. I would rather be known as a person, as a humorous person, someone that can use humour. Or if you like, someone that's funny, that lightens up. When I get the microphone stand on the stage, I don't want to be all tense and rigid and nervous. I want to be free. I want to be able to be myself. And I'd rather be known as a humorous person, someone that's funny, than someone that's intelligent. I definitely don't want to be known as someone who's boring or irrelevant or long-winded, has shallow content. I like to be known, and perhaps I am known for that, as someone who can bring humour. When I MC, I can bring humour, I can locate, I can find it, and I can add it to what I'm saying. Humour has that capacity to drive home your message. I think in another session I talked about my friend, the smiling assassin. He can preach on some subjects that are pretty tough, pretty hard-going subjects. Even in his content, whatever the message, he can say things that kind of go, oh, man, you're hurting me. I'm feeling conviction. And all the while he's doing it with a smile on his face, the smiling assassin. You can drive home your point, drive home, your theme. You can actually hit home runs with humour. Laughter, I think, strengthens group cohesion. There's something about people that laugh together and enjoy being together. And I know when I've been taking workshops, for example, and, you'll add some humour and there's something about that unites people when they're laughing together and engaging that way together. In fact, you'll know it to be true if you look deep enough. Last time you were on a holiday, ask the question, what was it about the holiday? I remember that time we were laughing. Remember that time when we heard that or saw that and it was funny. There's something positive about laughter. I think laughter and humour can reduce hostility and relieve tension. I think it helps you to deflect controversy. I remember, same church as I gave the altar call, I remember preaching away once and about 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the message, whatever it was, a guy stood up at the back and came walking down the aisle and just swearing and shouting out obscenities. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. And the security guards stood up and I just walked down off the stage. And as this guy was walking, I didn't know what he was going to do. I was nervous. I'm freaking out. And the security guard I said to the security guys, it's okay, guys, sit down. And I looked at this guy, and a few people started to shout at him, sit down, mate, I said, no, it's okay, church. I'm sure he hasn't finished yet. He's probably only just started. Come down, sir. And it was just, wow, he didn't know what to say, didn't know how to respond to that, I said, sure, you can have your say, sir. What else would you like to say? And suddenly it put a smile on his face. And in the middle of all this obscenity and this intrusion and this distraction, suddenly he realized. And he said, no, I've got nothing else to say. And he turned around and sat down, And people started to laugh when they could see him laughing. He just saw, what am I doing? I'm just being an idiot, He was probably on drugs or something, whatever. I know he was drunk. But, it's just being able to locate that humour, be able to say that something just at the right time that can diffuse and deflect. I'll tell you something about humour. I find for me, humour works best when it's self-effacing. I don't like humour that puts other people down. I know there's something in the Aussie psyche that we find it funny when we put people down, and we make fun of people, what they're wearing or, what their hair looks like or what suburb they come from, And there's a whole range of things that we can use, to try to bring humour. I would much rather be self-effacing. In fact, most of my humour that I say intentionally or unintentionally actually makes me look silly. In fact, there's plenty of times where I look like a clown and I look and sound ridiculous. But I don't mind that. I'd rather put myself down and have people laugh at me than me trying to get you to laugh at someone else's misfortune or someone else's weakness or lack or whatever it might be. And, there's plenty of things that we can all find humorous about ourselves. There's many speakers. I can think of people that are really short, like Danny DeVito, Pat Mesiti, that will laugh at their own lack of height. There's that guy that walks around, no arms, no legs, no worries. I don't know if you've seen him, but he just makes fun of himself. I got no legs, I got no arms, and he just makes light of himself. If you're going to add humour, look at yourself first. Find out what is it that you can use about yourself that will engage people in that way. I do want to say that humour is hard work. I don't want to beat around the bush. It's hard work finding and locating and using humour. The delivery of it is not easy. The timing of humour and being able to get it right, it's not easy. It simply takes practice, practice, practice. I'll practice my humorous stories. I'll practice those humorous quotes over and over again, making sure that I've got the punchline, making sure that I'm saying it the right way. And at the end of the day, if it comes out wrong, you'll get a laugh out of it anyway, and maybe it can have the effect. But it's not easy. I think putting a smile on people's face is much more the goal or the bigger picture than giving them stomach cramps and having them rolling over in laughter. That's not the goal of humour. The humour is to just lighten up the atmosphere. The humour is just, you're adding it to your message. If it's a tough point, you can sense that it's not easy to deliver, yet, or let alone receive. Add humour to it and put a smile on people's face in that way. I think I started by saying you can't force funny. I want to tell you, don't try too hard. Don't try too hard. You can tell when people are trying too hard to be funny. Just be yourself. Let it come naturally. I think there's a humorous streak in all of us. And just let that come out. Don't try to be like someone else. I want to be like him, One of my favourite funny men, both on and off the pulpit. And that's the thing too, on and off the stage, Some people try to be something they're not when they're on the stage, I'd like to think that I'm just as silly and just as humorous on or off. But one of my favourite funny men is Tim Hall. And he can do things and he can say things and he can get away with it. I remember he walked up onto a stage once and he lied down. Do you know, Tim, he's quite large, although he tells me the other day he's lost 10 kilo recently. And he won't mind me saying this, but I remember once, in fact, he's probably done it many times, he walked up on the stage, lied down with the microphone. He's lying down on the microphone and he says, "What can you see?" And we're there, "I don't know, see Tim Hall." He says, "Ayers Rock." And then when you look at him and you see the shape, you go, okay, funny, he's got a bag of tricks. And but he's just as funny on or off that stage, on or with or without the microphone. So I want to encourage you, don't try too hard, but be natural. Humour, it's a powerful tool that you can use. Don't overuse it, don't not use it. Find it, locate it, intentionally or unintentionally. And I think your presentations will be all the better for it. Hope you enjoyed this session. We'll see you next time. God bless.